Greetings, everybody. It's Jasmine Dominique here, and today is a fabulous day to live beyond the limits because the limits are merely illusions. Illusions, they're not real. And today I wanted to do a short video to discuss relationships, right? And how to manifest a healthy relationship, how to manifest a blissful relationship, how to manifest a desirable, sexy, fulfilling relationship. Okay. I'll be quite transparent. I never thought that I would ever be a person who could actually talk about this topic, because I did not grow up having the best examples of relationships in my life. I'm very fortunate for my aunt and for my uncle who really exemplified for me what the meaning of partnership is. But when it came to my mother and my father, my earliest memory of my mother and my father's relationship is of them fighting in the bedroom and my mother basically shielding herself so that she did not take a blow. And so, as you can imagine, when I grew up and entered into relationships, y'all, a lot of the times they were toxic and just really dysfunctional. And I had to learn how to take personal responsibility for the reality that I was creating. What do I mean by that? We all have something called the subconscious mind, right? We have the subconscious mind, we have the conscious mind, we have the unconscious mind. I'm only going to talk about the subconscious mind today. The subconscious mind is where we store all of our memories. It's like a box full of all of the experiences that we have accumulated throughout our lives, right? And whatever we store in that box tells us how we should see the world and create our world, okay? So if a person grew up living in a healthy family environment, seeing parents together, loving each other, nurturing each other, protecting each other, communicating with each other, more than likely that person will grow up to automatically just know how to create healthy and functional relationships. They will attract that into their lives. Not always, but there's more of a possibility, okay? If someone grew up seeing healthy, dysfunctional, imbalanced, abusive, just traumatic relationships, then subconsciously that person will create that type of reality for themselves when they enter into relationships. What did that look like for me? I constantly attracted, created relationships that just couldn't give to me what I needed, as it relates to time and attention and affection and honesty, communication, vulnerability. I was not getting that in my relationships because subconsciously, because of what I saw when I was growing up, I did not think that I was deserving of that. And so, what did I do? I created experiences that reaffirmed that I was not worthy of receiving love. Now, I'm very fortunate to have encountered some very beautiful and enlightened people on my path, and they really helped me to see that I was creating a shitty world for myself and shitty relationships for myself. And I was really able to see that when I said to myself, okay, I am not blaming my father, I am not blaming my mother. I am not blaming anybody because we are all products of our environments. We are all products of our experiences and the programming that is fed to us until we realize that, hey, some things are not working and I have the power to shift it. Okay. And so taking personal responsibility for me and my relationships meant knowing that I had the power to be aware and to kind of delve into some of these patterns that have so deeply embedded themselves in my subconscious mind, but also knowing that I had the power to pluck out and to release, right, what no longer serves me. And that didn't happen overnight, actually. I'm still a work in progress, but I have been able to shift my reality just by taking responsibility for what has been stored within my subconscious mind. And once you give your subconscious mind to open up and to reveal itself to you, I promise you it will. Now, I do suggest if you choose to take that step, make sure that you have a support system around you. I am very fortunate to have amazing people who have amazing gifts who have been able to support me holistically as I have been doing this healing work so that I can have a healthy relationship or sustain a healthy relationship and family. But it's a process. It is a process. But Spirit knows what you need. God knows what you need. Trust it. So, what I've discovered about this thing called relationships, and please comment, um, is that a lot of the time, the two people who are coming together, relationships can be very colorful, right? Sometimes it's just two people in the union. Sometimes there's more than two people in the union. Do what works for you. But what I have noticed is that a lot of the time, let's say two people, they decide to be in a relationship. Oftentimes, they are bringing their worldview into the relationship, both partners. And sometimes, a lot of the times, right, we bring who we are, who we were as children into a relationship. And so, as children who become adults, we develop triggers, we develop patterns, we develop processes, and we bring that into our lives in every aspect. And so you have two different people bringing their childhood experiences and worldviews on top of what they have experienced as adults into a relationship. In relationships, a lot of the times, they struggle because finding a balance between the differences sometimes can create the clashes, right? But if we look at our partner with lenses that allow us to be compassionate and patient and vulnerable and open to just listen, preaching to the choir, open to just listen and to receive what it is that our partner needs for us to hear and to feel, we can not only begin to we will begin to understand or understand our partners more, but we will understand ourselves more, because what I have learned is that partners a lot of the times just show up in our lives to be reflections. They reveal to us what is going on in our innermost deepest thoughts, the subconscious thoughts, and they reveal to us, who we are, how we're thriving emotionally and mentally and physically. And that takes a lot of humility, y'all. That takes a lot of being humble. Like, shit, I can't project and be upset and angry with you because you're being a reflection to me in this moment and showing me what is happening internally within myself. Um, and a lot of the times I think in relationships, in order to avoid, right, really looking at self and taking personal responsibilities and being honest about the state of our well-being, we tend to project, and we tend to force all of our insecurities and doubts onto our partners instead of saying, let me go within and like really check and deal with self. Let me check and deal with self and be honest with self. And while I'm doing that, let me honor that little girl or that little boy, or you don't even have to identify. Let me honor that child in me and see if there's anything that she needs that might be impacting how I'm responding in this relationship. When I was growing up, my parents were separated. Both of my parents were addicted to drugs, and so a lot of the times I grew up seeing and witnessing that. And a lot of the times I felt abandoned, right? So as an adult, what did I do? And sometimes what do I still do when I feel like I am not safe in a relationship for whatever reason? When I feel like the person that I am in a partnership isn't 100% present with me, I clench and I get tight and I get anxious because that little girl in me doesn't want to be abandoned. Now, because I know that that's a trigger for me, I know that I need to communicate with my partner and say, all right, today I'm feeling a bit abandoned and a bit neglected. And I'm not saying that it's you. That's me, and something that I need to work through. That's me in my own control issues that I need to surrender and to release, because you're your own person. I know what I need in a relationship. I can only communicate to you about what I need in a relationship, and hopefully, if it's something that works for you, it will happen. If not, then I know that that's not the best relationship for me to be in. But I never want to put expectations, and sometimes I do. But I think when we enter into placing expectations on people, we enter into a danger zone. And so definitely know who you are, know what you need in relationships, and honor that. Like, what you need in relationships deserves to be honored. But I just suggest that you always ask, like, where are my needs coming from? Are my needs coming from a place of brokenness and emptiness and or self-hate or, you know, unresolved childhood trauma? Or are my needs coming from a place of love and compassion and connection and unity and the well-being for both myself and my partner? You know, I think these are things that we need to ask ourselves. So I feel in order to attract and to sustain a healthy partnership, a magical partnership, both people or the people in the union must be open and vulnerable and constantly doing those self checks and tapping into that inner child and listening to that inner child and nurturing that inner child and really doing the things to cultivate self love, because nobody can give you love like you can give you love. And when we get into a relationship expecting for someone to fill us up, will remain empty. And so I say self-love is where it starts, and then it oozes out of you, and your partner will feel it, and you will not be seeking validation in your union. Validate yourself and just enjoy your relationship instead of putting the pressure onto your partner or receiving pressure from your partner to do whatever pleases them or for them to do whatever pleases you. Um, I don't think that it should ever be a matter of pleasing anybody. You please yourself, and then you allow one another to dwell in those safe and loving spaces. No expectations, no judgment, just love. And we're humans, right? And so conflict will arise. We have egos. We have egos, and the ego wants what it wants, when it wants it, how it wants it, whatever. It doesn't care about who is not satisfied or pleased. You know, the ego wants what it wants. But again, back to personal responsibility, I think it's important for us to know when the ego is at work, because when we let the ego have its way, we create destruction, right? So sometimes we just need to check the ego with love and with gentleness so that it receives a reminder that it's safe and that it is okay. So I just wanted to share my thoughts with you today. We are also very capable of being healthy and whole individually first, and definitely within union. It's a process, though. It's a process. And during this day and age, I am so happy that that is being acknowledged more. You know, I grew up in the South, and I heard frequently, you go to school, you get a job, and then you get married and you have kids. But where is the self-healing? Where is the self-love within that process? And I think that we need to talk about that more. Sure, do all of those things. You can have absolutely everything and anything that you want in your world, but how and when do we implement self-love, self-care, self-healing within all of that? So significant. So I love you, and thank you for being you. Thank you for tuning in. And remember to live a life beyond the limits, because the limits are merely illusions. Peace, everybody. Have a good rest of the day.